Let me let my husband know. Well, never mind. That's
Yeah,
okay.
we're live. We're live. So I know because you can still tell them we're live. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the first Shamanic Journeys show podcast.
No.
Your life is going to happen. So anyway, this is DeannaTrujillo, shaman, energy worker, energy healer, Reiki healer. That's what a shaman is. That's what I try to explain to people is about me. Like I've kind of appointed myself that because it's the best description of what I do. But I didn't some circle in some tribal village to be, anointed. Oh, shaman. No, I mean that's commendable. The people that do that, and there are a lot of people that do dedicate their whole lives to certain practices, and I have a lot of respect for them, and I think they should continue to do that. I think we can learn a lot from that. But we're more of like these unconventional shaman, right? And a lot of our generation, right? We're a Gen Xer as well, right? So it's more about being able to harness that energy without having to come with a particular, come from a particular tribe or particular background. It's being able to kind of infuse or integrate everything that we've learned throughout our lives and that we continue to learn, being able to integrate that in our spiritual practices. And lately, this is Deanna's first live stream ever, and it's our first episode. That's awesome, right? So she's a little nervous, but that's good. She has a lot of good information, and that's where I noticed her at first was on Facebook and just some of the posts. During a lot of the crisis we're dealing with now, especially, I noticed she kind of stood up and started to have some observations about things and see a lot of the things that I was seeing. And this is really this pertains to any time in life. We were just talking about that. Life is full of chaos, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a big imbalance within more of that negative force kind of coming down on us more now, which usually when we get to that point, we're getting to that real close, getting close to that point where we're going to bust through and it's going to start to turn positive.
Yes.
However, there's a lot of fear being thrown at us. There are a lot of things that we should be very concerned about. We should be very safe with, especially viruses, especially, any kind of virus, or any, we should be concerned with a lot of things that are going on, around us. And we should have compassion for people that aren't, that aren't having a very fun time in the world. And, just because this certain particular issue came up in our purview, there's a lot of things going on around this world that have been throughout our lives. Like people say, oh man, I remember back in the 80s, it was so much better. And I'm like, well, was it? Because you didn't know as much as you do now. You don't have as much information. You didn't have as much information as you do now, which, yes, that can be a detriment as well. But I feel like we're in a place where we should be grateful. Really, we're in a really exciting time.
Yes.
Scary too. I mean, that's part of the shamanic journey, right? It's not unicorns and animals. I mean, we're not living in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. So
no, definitely not.
Sometimes. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just agreeing with you.
But I think this is why I wanted to bring you on. I wanted to just, because I did feel that vibe. I get this, like I was telling you, that this kind of gypsy, kind of native vibe from you. Very, very mystical, right? And the things you were saying, they really resonated with me. I mean, you caught a couple things that I didn't notice because I do pay attention because I work on Facebook a lot. I do, and social networks. I pay attention to a lot of the stuff that's coming at me.
Right.
And, none of us are free from the energy that they do throw at you. When once you view it, you can't unview. But I think it's what's important and what I want to try to talk about here. I mean, we'll see where this goes. Really, kind of giving everybody, who wants and who this resonates with, kind of giving some tips to how I've lived through a lot of adversity, how Deanna's lived through a lot of adversity, and we all have, and being able to just really stay balanced in that time, not in a panicky mode and not in a completely dead mode where you're just living, but somewhere in the middle, that zero space. So do you want to add to that?
Well, I can add to it by giving an example of what I do based on my past, my knowledge that I gained from experiences in my life, as I kind of rise above it and look at it as, all these different, I look at it from all these different aspects. different perspectives, if you will. And I kind of leave the fear behind. I don't, if I see a newscast or a photo or an alarming article, I don't just take it for face value. I dig in deeper. I automatically fall into my heart space.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. And I use my intuition to discern, I guess, my instincts. I follow my instincts as to what they're telling me instead of just following where everybody else is going. If everyone's panicking, I stop. And I go the other way.
That's a good rule of thumb usually.
And that's just like an instinctual thing for me, based on what I've experienced in the past and in my life. Starting at a pretty young age, I had to learn to follow my intuition closely.
Yeah.
And this whole situation, I think is a real good, I want to say test, but I don't know. It's an awakening for sure. Teaching people, reminding them that they have an internal way of feeling through life. They don't have to depend on
instinct.
Yeah, instinct. They don't have to depend on what they're being fed every single day, nonstop on the news, and that brings up red flags for me too. Bye, babe. Sorry. Is when something is being like thrown in your face constantly. That's what I look for as not to pay attention to. If something is being thrown in my face and I'm not experiencing it personally, I really dig in and investigate further. And I check in with myself,
Yeah, it's important. I think that, like I'm going to kind of add to what you were saying is, it's basically about that buzz that goes off, right? We hear that a lot, that if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. And there is a lot of things that are going on that are natural here.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things, it's not only just this. I mean, we're getting a lot of earthquakes going on, right? So we're dealing with we're in like a very energetic space in the cosmos right now.
Yes.
And I feel like it is an awakening. There's a lot of people that come out during this time that are, either, they want to throw that fear at you, or they want to tell you, hey, there's going to be somebody that's going to come save us. And, they're going to take down these dark forces. And, as we wait, I'm waiting. It's been a while. It's been years. So, I just feel like it's important that we keep our heads about us, that emotion is what they use. Some people can use to manipulate you, right?
Oh, big time.
Just like in a relationship, if you're in a relationship with somebody, which we are in a relationship with the things that we watch, we have a relationship with that. If we're regularly watching something, we have a relationship with those people. Though it may be we've never met, we do still start to build this kind of. We start to idolize these people, right? Because they're being shown, and we start to listen to a lot of the words they're saying, and they're actually repeating words that are being told to them to say.
Exactly.
So, I'm talking about this all the way at the highest that we think is the highest of levels of leadership. The media being included, that's one branch, right? But then there's also all of the other branches and all of the other sectors. They're kind of losing my train of thought, but there's basically it's important not to, I'm going to bring myself back. I remember it's important to not get this idol worship with anybody, right? With anybody, anything. And that doesn't, I'm talking about all archetypes, all, Jesus, Muhammad, it's good to look at those people, or, what they represent, which is peace, which is, enlightenment. I know I just chose those two, but I just can't think of it. But all of them, right? Any kind of idol worship that's going on. This comes down to politicians. This comes down to leadership, community leadership. It's not good to idolize, because we can be led astray very easily. Yeah, I have been. I'm here to tell you, I've been duped by it many times. And I think that's why I brought you on, because you were able to kind of see through it. And I think also you were able to kind of say it in a way that it won't get censored, right? That you're very clever with how you present things.
Thank
And
you.
because I think that's important. I feel like if you put it out the wrong way, I mean, this is kind of what's going on too with all of the misdirection, is they're getting people to post things that are really kind of fear-based, and they're very fantastical and so far out there. Which I'm not saying there's not a lot of truth in there, but we can get to a point where a whole group starts to do that, and they can use that as an excuse to come back and make a law or some kind of a policy to basically just, more censorship.
Exactly.
And I think it's important that we kind of stay attuned to what's going on, especially within our instincts. There is some buzzing going on, I'm sure, when there's certain little movements that are going on and that appear to be very benevolent.
Yes.
But once you get really hooked into them, it does become like this brainwashing type of cultism, right?
Well, it pulls you away from your own self. It completely wipes out. To me, from what I see, when people become afraid, especially in large groups, their common sense and rational thinking flies out the window. They forget it's just like brain wipe. I feel like a lot of people really rely on those higher sources of knowledge that we perceive them to be, instead of looking within. I guess that's just what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Basically, it's people look to other people. We've kind of, as a society, right, as a race, as a human race, we've come to this place where we kind of rely on other people to do it for us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And people keep looking for these deities to come out of the sky and help us. And I'm not going to say that there won't be in some way or form or another, but I am going to say that I think a lot of this falls on us. I mean, if not all of it,
exactly.
It falls on all of us to change our attitude, to change direction, to not follow that negative, which appears to be benevolent. Right. To be careful and be very, discern those things. Be able to kind of give yourself some time to look into them, to see if what you're following is really leading you in the right place. And there's.
Right. Sorry. No, I'm just I guess I was really surprised when this all happened, how disconnected a lot of people really are, completely detached from their own ability to do anything, heal themselves, think for themselves, lead themselves on the right path. And it really surprised me how much work we still need to do as a collective spiritually, to remember that about ourselves. There are so many aspects to us than what we perceive in the now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you're very good at spotting it. There's little, because I took the last 3 or 4 years just not formally but studying, just kind of doing my research on symbolism, and you realize it's everywhere, and it is directing you in some way. I mean, that's what ads are. They're that's how they do it. I mean, that's how, if somebody wants to manipulate the masses, they can do it really easily. I'm not saying that that's what's going on. I do believe there are people that are sick. And I do feel like people need to try to keep themselves calm and in good health, and in that well-being or mental status of kind of, I am in good health. I do have a good, and take the action to have that better immunity.
Well, energetically, if people, we forget this too, is that where we focus is what we get. Yep. And I think they use that a lot in media too, because I hate using that, but
I don't like it either, because it's just
it just makes me feel like part of that mindset. But the media, uses that as a manipulation because it is understood the psychological aspects of us as humans, the way our brain works. They understand how to manipulate our energy, and how to lower our energy. That is scientifically proven. And when our energy is lowered by certain emotions affect certain organs and our immune system, and fear and panic, shame, all of that can really, really lower it to the point to where we actually make ourselves sick. And in reality, there doesn't even need to be an actual virus, even though we have viruses all the time, that our bodies heal quite uh, easily. That's what we were born to do: adapt and heal. We're
Yes, I believe I agree.
and I mean, our immune systems aren't going to strengthen if we're not exposed to things. If we live in sterile bubbles, our immune system's going to have a harder time fighting things off. And I think people forget about that. But I think that the main thing I'm seeing is the lowering of our energy, the lowering of our vibration on a collective level all at once. So it just gets like dragged down, and it's like hard to dig our way back up as individuals, because when we look around, it's just like, oh my God, the world is crumbling, it's ending, the sky is falling, everything horrible I ever imagined is happening, And that's another thing too that I noticed, is that this event is, I'm sure a lot of people have noticed this, is like watching an apocalyptic movie. And I honestly, I don't feel like that is on accident. I feel like a lot of things we're being manipulated with, a lot of things that are actually based on our recognition of something we've seen before, so that we can like think forward to a memory that we didn't have, that was created for us in another way. And
that's
so people,
that's a really good observation on that. See, I knew I had you on here for a reason.
So people are like,
points like angles that I'm not seeing, and that's why it's good for all of us to talk. It's good for us to share that, our observations and our feelings about what's going on. I feel like you've pretty much, like, you have a good look at it. But as a shaman, we watch it, we observe it.
Right.
We don't get too emotionally involved in it. We continue to live our lives and push our energy, or flow with the energy that we know is necessary to get us to where we want to go, which there is no destination, right? It's very philosophical and meta as a shaman, right? Or as an energy worker, period. Reiki healer. And that's what you're doing. What do you explain? I know I did this a little bit out of order, but why don't you explain to people kind of what your background was? I think we were getting to it and we kind of stopped, but I want to kind of take some time to just kind of shine a light on what your gifts are, what work you are doing within the the collective as far as your energy work.
Okay. Let me try to simplify it. My background, starting from my earliest memories, I've always had a connection to source, to spirit, to the earth, to animals, to trees, especially. I've always seen energy, I've heard, felt, seen spirits, angels, different entities my whole life. I mean, my first memory when I was 18 months old was of something that I've never seen on this world. I remember being, in my crib at 18 months old, having completely adult thoughts about what the heck, looking down at my baby hands and in my crib and my diaper and going, what?
Right? I did that too. Most people are like, I don't remember like being a baby. I don't remember until I was like 5. I'm like, I have memories of being 1, like less than like. I mean, and I was still me inside of this avatar, or this this body.
Right.
Yeah, I do, and I remember just always my whole life. The one thing I remembered, because I kind of, we're kind of the same that way, where we were just kind of, that veil wasn't ever put down for us, but then we were born into this, and the veil was still open, right? So we just kind of walked in that kind of those other realms all of our lives, and that's, it sounds like it's very similar. And I think, it's hard to explain to people, because I think most of us know, we all know, but it's hard to explain. It's not something, Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, like every house I've ever lived in has had some sort of paranormal activity. I can remember also as a baby, um, my parents being messed with by entities in a house we lived in, and my mom, she could tell you the like almost Amityville style haunting that we went through when I was a baby, but it just like every house after that was just like, whoa. But it's just always kind of around. And I've just kind of learned to be in balance with it. It's always there, it's always around, and it's always around everywhere you go. That it's different levels of energy and dimensions. And depending on where you are energetically, you either rise or lower to meet whatever is on that plane, and you'll experience whatever that is. But I guess I have a deep connection with Native American ancestors and spirits, and I've formed a great respect. It's a mutual respect for that energy that resides all around us in nature. But as far as what I do, my dog is scratching at the door. Do you guys mind? I'm just gonna let my dog out. It's driving me nuts. Hold on.
I've got all my dogs sitting right next to me right now, so yeah. They're live streamers, basically. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please share this on Facebook. Share this out, please. Like it if you haven't. Like our page. And welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Deanna, for being here. We're going to continue this great conversation. So,
and I see it's that Patty Hall and the.
It is.
Hi, Patty. I love Patty.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's. So anyway, where you were, or what your work is where we were.
Okay, so I lost track. So when I'm working on whatever level it is, if I'm working with a client or if I'm just doing my daily thing, I connect. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to explain it.
As best you can. I know.
It's very, very, I guess the way when I try to explain what I do, it's hard to find words that explain the energy that I feel, I guess is why I have a hard time explaining it. But my deepest connection is when I'm outside. So I spend a lot of time outside with the trees and with nature. From there, I connect. A good way to explain it would be if you've seen the movie Avatar, how they connect with the tree. That's how I feel when I'm in nature, and then I feel a connection to everybody and everything. I feel a connection to the collective, and if I feel somebody's energy pulling me to them, I connect and I send healing. The type of healing that I send is based on pure unconditional love energy. I gather like chi energy that is pure love, and I project it to that person or thing or situation. That's one way that I work. But I also do intuitive readings. A lot of my stuff is multidimensional. When I connect with people, I go to where they are consciously. And
that's important right there. What you just said, I want to stop and kind of make a point of that. It's important, like we say, we want to raise our vibrations all the time. And yes, we do. However, to do true work and be a true healer and heal people, everyone, you do have to go to where they are.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean, and yes, that can be a place if you're not strong enough of will and mind, you can get lost there.
Yes.
But it's important to understand that's, as a shaman, as an energy worker, especially ones as we, I'm sure you go in etherically and with your third eye, right? And you're basically using everything and astral projecting.
Yes.
Which is what it is. When you're doing things, you're in another place. You're taking yourself to another place. And I think it's that's kind of what I see it like. It's throughout my work, I've seen that you have to kind of put yourself down there. Yeah, not, I don't even know how to explain that, but you do have to kind of meet them at their level. Like when somebody's suicidal, and I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, keep your head up, hang in there." There's always like these buzzwords that come through when people don't know how to deal with them. And I understand that, but a lot of times it's kind of a snap out of it. Sometimes it is kind of a spiritual. Did you ever watch that movie? What was the one about the doctor that ended up? He's a Marvel character. And I'm just saying, don't think about superheroes, and I'm using a superhero.
Doctor Strange.
But Doctor Strange, when she takes him and puts him out of his body, like takes his soul out of his body and puts it back in.
Yes.
Like that's kind of. it doesn't look like that. Maybe sometimes etherically it does, but that's kind of what you have to do to people that are depressed to that point.
It's exactly.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you just gave me the chills, because that's like exactly like I try to explain that to people. Like when I do, the only way that I know how to explain it is as multidimensional work, because I'm going into their level of consciousness and literally dissecting their different aspects of them and pulling away parts that
no longer to the source, right? You're digging. You're
I pull the parts that are no longer serving them, or that they want to be rid of, like cord cutting or even inner child work. Like I'll go back. The only way I can explain it is like if you have a paper doll cut out, okay, and like I'm facing that person in their consciousness, and I can see all the layers going back into time, all the different aspects of them. And what I'll do is I pull the now aspect of them forward, and so that it separates all the different aspects of them. And then I go through and like do a multi-layered, multidimensional cord cutting. And I mean, it's like pretty intense, but
it's intense. I know.
I was never taught how to do that. It just kind of happened, like I was just it just happened. I don't even know how to say that. It was just part of me.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I remember learning tarot cards, right? And I'm like doing readings, and I'm supposed to be looking, as I'm learning, I'm supposed to be looking at the meanings.
Right.
And I just like, no, this card's already tell a story. I don't need to look at a book. I can see it. I naturally knew how to do it. When I was a kid, did you ever used to hum by the vacuum? You could feel vibration, right? You're raising your energy. You don't even realize what you're doing, but you're just kind of humming along with the vacuum, staying in that harmony. For some reason. That's just a good vibration. It vibrates all that crap out of you. That's why the oming and all that stuff, it works, because it does kind of energy, get rid of that muck around you that we kind of build up, that film of kind of gray that we build up over time.
And we do. And this whole situation right now it's really mucking up a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are really like hooked on to things, and it's
running with it and grabbing it. They take one idea, whether that's fear or we're going to save the world, and they go grab it, and then they run with it. Yeah, you got to be careful. That's what
people need to understand. Like, this is the world right here, okay? And right here, and it starts with you. You have to start with yourself. If you watch something and it scares the living crap out of you, you have to like push the pause button. Pause. Yeah. Okay, why is this scaring the crap out of me? Why? What's the ultimate fear I have of this situation right now? You just have to kind of dissect it, and you can't fall in because if you turned off the TV and your phone and you just sat and listened and looked around you, and felt, you could feel what is really going on in your reality. And that's so important. This is all that is right in this moment right now. It's all you can do anything about is right now. If you're sick, you're not feeling well, all you can do is take care of yourself and heal yourself. You can't,
and go through the process of letting your body do that.
Right.
I try to explain that to people. This is what, doctors don't heal you. Your body heals you. What a doctor knows how to do is get you to heal faster.
Exactly, because the medications that they give you make your human mind think that it has healed you, when actually you have healed yourself.
That's right. I agree.
A lot of people don't understand that they really rely on the exterior.
Yeah.
Um, there's so much I could say about energy work and how
So
it
if you
works.
had anything like any advice, if you had one piece of advice for our listeners, for our viewers, and our future viewers, for currently, and just, this can be used anywhere, but really,
Mhm.
especially right now. I mean, I think it's important that we all kind of self-reflect, pay attention, like you've been talking about, and look at really what's going on, and pay
Mhm.
attention to all of it, but not in a place where you're getting in this place of fear. Listen to yourself. Like we said
Yeah.
at the first of this podcast, it's important to let those vibes or those buzz come from within, come from right here, like you said.
Yeah.
Look at yourself when go do something that you feel like, if you feel like you want to make a change. And I'm telling you right now, violence is usually never the answer,
No.
or any kind of revenge or anything like that. We know. I mean, let's use our common sense, but I
Mhm.
think we have to learn how to be clever in this world that's changing very, very fast. I think
Mhm.
faster than I've ever experienced it, or I've
Oh yeah.
perceived. And our eyes are being open to a lot of things that we're going to go after we have kind of been awoke a little bit, or feel like we've woken up a little bit. We're going,
Mhm.
we already knew this. We just chose
Right.
to look the other way, right?
We're
Like, and that's what I try to explain to people. In a way, you can kind of look at as if we kind of rising to the fifth dimension, right, or the fourth dimension, or the
Mhm.
ninth dimension. I mean, I don't look at dimensions. I don't count them because they're infinite. So,
Yeah.
right, well, I could say the next one up, but that's the next one up for me might be something else for somebody else.
It might be to the side or
Right, to the
there,
side or to the or lower. I mean, I've visited the lower realms. I'm not afraid of them. I'm
there's
not.
no, I don't know, there's no such thing as.
Right. It's just different dimensions. It's just yeah, it's that. But what I was saying is the fifth dimension, the way that I see it in this reality, is being able to break down things and actually see things that we were never seeing before, that we maybe did see, but now the wall has come down on us. Now we can actually see that for a lot more for what it is and gain a bigger understanding. That's
Mhm.
what ascension to me as a human is.
Yes.
True ascension is passing and
Mhm.
moving on. But you can be in those ascended places and realms and states of consciousness as a human. I think
Mhm.
what happens though is we get too fantastical and worried about going there too much as more of an escape, because spiritualism can be escapism too.
Oh yeah.
Spiritual bypassing, like we talked about the first time we talked,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and I think it's important that we keep ourselves anchored and kind of balanced, anchored not in a way that we're stuck, but just in a way that we're not going to fly so far away. Because yes, the higher realms, some things don't matter as much as they do here. They're
No.
different. It's our different feeling. It's a different perception. We live on a higher vibration. So yeah,
And
there's a lot more peace. But
right.
there's one place that you go to, and there's no negative at all. I'm going to
Mhm.
tell you that right now. There's
Mhm.
what we perceive as negative. Like there is still negative in the other realms and the higher ones too. The
Mhm.
negative has to be there, or we would go mad with complete positive.
Exactly.
Just like we would go mad with too much negative, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
anyway, that's my take on it, my 2 cents.
Well, like what I was gonna say something earlier when you were talking about going, onto different levels of consciousness when you help other people, and how a lot of people call it light working. Um, it's more. I would have to say it's more like shadow working,
Yeah,
because in order to come into a state of consciousness where you can rise above um, things like fear. You have to work through your shadows to get there. You can't just be like,
yeah. I think we're at that place. Like I think, that phases that people, truth kind of goes through the phases. I don't know if you've ever heard the Schopenhauer quote. He's got like 5 stages of truth. I'm not going to get it right, so I'm not going to try to repeat it. But basically, I think we're in this kind of place, all of us, where we're kind of just getting past the denial and starting to look at us, like,
Yeah.
oh, and then it's going to piss us off. It's going to drive us a little crazy for a little while. Some people call
Mhm.
it the dark night of the soul, and there's not just one. I think we can go through many of these in
Mhm.
one lifetime,
Right.
depending on what stage we're at. But I think looking at ourselves, being able to just be good to each other and be good
Mhm.
to yourself. That seems to be, it's the most simple thing, but it's really hard for us to understand and really practice every day, right?
Right.
And,
Right.
I think if you kind of stick to those universal laws or rules, I think you're pretty good. I mean, you're not gonna avoid negativity.
No. No.
It's like you were saying with all your, and I forgot to say that, but when you were saying that you grew up and you always, you kind of moved into houses and you were always getting paranormal activity. Well, that's because that's the world that was going on around you that you were picking up on another dimension that you naturally kind of do. You're in tune with it. You're willing to pay attention to it and acknowledge it, which we all have, but that's what we're seeing more of it, right?
Yeah.
It's not that you're being personally haunted. It's
No.
that there's a whole other world going on, or worlds and realities going on while ours is going on right now.
Right. Exactly.
That we are connected to.
Mm-hmm.
We are very connected to. So when you do pick up a lot of this stuff, like a lot of people, I'm getting haunted by a demon, and sometimes, yes, they will mess with you, but just think about it as like a brother or something, like, trying to play a prank on you, like treating them like they're stupid. If they can see you, they see how you're acting, which the higher levels can, right? They're kind of like messing with you a lot of the times. Like I see these ghost shows and I'm like, they're messing with them. They're
exactly
just for fun. Like they're probably friends, like laughing about it,
yeah. I think it's very complicated.
It's very. As I'm talking, I'm like, we're gonna get into some real deep.
I kind of lost my train of thought.
Like when it comes out and I try to explain it, it sounds. It's hard to understand. I get it. So
it is. Well, that's kind of what I was trying to explain earlier. Is like with the mutual respect, as if it's your neighbor. You can't put yourself in a hierarchy or anything when it comes to other energies and entities around you. You have to have a mutual respect and understanding. If you want to have boundaries, you have to lay them down. You can't have expectations, and you can't open doors up without having rules. You can't just open things up and let it be a free-for-all, because it will be. So I don't think a lot that if somebody's being haunted, they're in one sense allowing it to happen because they don't understand how much control they actually have in that situation energetically, with that alternate energy that is around them.
Go ahead, keep talking. I'm just gonna open the door real quick.
Okay.
I'm listening. My dog went in now too. Well, it wasn't my dog, but I wanted in.
But I really feel like this will be this event needed to take place on the grand scheme that it is, in order for people to really open their eyes and understand what they are capable of, and on an individual place, and what they need to really take accountability for. For example, I think why things scare people so much is because we do create our own realities. We bring things into fruition with our thoughts, with our words, with our actions. We create.
We make poor choices, and we create this too, right?
And I think people, for a lot of people, it's very hard to look at themselves and say, I did that. I brought that into my energy space. What are you talking? That's a really hard thing to face. I know I've had to face that many times. That was part of my awakening, was being faced with my actual literal shadow. Like,
right.
And it took a good decade for me to work through that, the many layers of it. And I am very grateful that I am the person I am, and I connect with spirit and energy and allow messages to come in, and can utilize the knowledge that I learned along the way. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here right now. But I think a big part of this right now is taking accountability for our actions, and trying to see, like, in this time right now, what can we what can we learn? Instead of staying in the muck, right? A lot of people say, look, be in the now. Well, yeah, be in the now, but also at the same time, instead of be in the now in gratitude, but move forward with knowledge.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
don't just sit and spin on your toadstool of crap while you're, and because there's so much we have to do.
Yeah.
We need to move forward. We
Well,
need
that's
to.
where we keep getting stuck, as we keep getting separated, because we have to keep fighting, because agendas keep conflicting.
Right.
And if you're not there to support, the support isn't going to be coming for you either in that way that you want it to change. You want to see that good change. I think it's important we all kind of look at each other. And
Mhm.
I think this is kind of, in a way, I mean, a lot of the things that are happening that seem so scary are actually going to put us in a really good place. I do believe
Yes,
that.
I
How much time that takes, that depends on our collective and how far they can come along. But this is going to be another phase of awakening, right?
exactly.
Awake.
Yeah. Oh, huge.
There's going to be plenty that still want to they want to be in that safe space of somebody else is going to take care of me. Everything's going to be okay. The
Hmm.
government's looking out for me. Somebody else has got my back. And this is on a macro level too. Even being in a relationship that you're not happy in, or
Right.
any the relationship we have with our media, because it's all over us. We're not going to be able to avoid it. You want to go up and live in the mountains, you're probably going to avoid it. That's fine. I
Yeah.
actually rather enjoy technology.
Mhm. Yeah, I do too.
And I think there's I have it's given me a livelihood.
Mhm.
However, it doesn't need to consume me completely, right?
No, no,
It is important to go out to nature. It is important to connect with just Earth, right?
mhm,
But this
mhm.
has given us an ability to all connect like we're connecting now. I mean,
Right.
this is
Mhm.
they could shut off our internet. Please don't shut off our internet. Someone could. I'm going to say someone, because it always does take somebody to push the button, right? Unless
Right.
it's AI, or we can just
Mhm.
blame it on AI sometimes. But I think it's important to realize that the collective consciousness is that strong that if we were to be away from these things for so long, we would
Mhm,
actually probably start communicating on real levels,
mhm,
more
mhm,
authentic levels than we ever have been.
mhm.
Uh, a lot, it would come in a lot more clear. That's kind of
Yeah.
the vision I had, that if this is all shut off, we would have ways of communicating through that collective,
Oh,
right?
yeah, definitely.
Telepathic connection that we have. And
Mhm.
anyway, we're getting into some deep philosophy, but basically, did you have any? We're going to get ready to finish up the live stream, but
Okay.
I thank you for being here. And like I said, I
Thank you for
think
having
we
me.
kind of talked about what the solution was, and or if you have a solution, or if you have some ideas that you want to give people, um, to kind of leave them with.
I think that above all, um, we all know this is a scary situation for many, um, but it's also an epic time to go within and really dissect every situation, um, in regards to how we approach life, on a daily basis. If we're afraid of getting sick, why are we afraid of getting sick? Is it because we know maybe we don't take such good care of ourselves?
Yep.
Um, are we afraid of losing power? Why are we afraid of losing power? Well, because I won't have food. Well, why? Because you don't know how to create your own food? Well, then learn. If there's things that you are afraid of, there's no reason to be afraid of it, because we have the limitless ability to gain knowledge and to bring anything we want into our reality if we take action.
Yep.
Um, and that's the way energy works. That's the way our lives work, and it can work either way, just like placebo. Same thing, negative, positive. um, so that would be my advice, is to kind of rise above it and put it all on the table. Whatever is triggering you, I would say that is a blessing. Take your triggers as a blessing and look at it from a perspective of, how can I not be triggered by this if this comes around again? What
Yeah.
do I need to heal within myself, um, to not be afraid of the situation? And meditate. Meditation you know, I think is huge. It exercises that part of your mind. Research energy, frequency, vibration. Those things are, I would say, critical to learn about.
Okay.
Your body's energy, your chi, all of that, how it affect your emotions, how they affect your body, instead of looking at the mainstream media and kind of hoping that somebody's going to give you an answer there. It's really, I would look within, I think, is um, would be, you know, my main advice.
I would say for people that are worried right now, because there is a lot of real concerns. I mean,
Yeah,
people have lost their jobs, and
right.
there
Hmm.
have been people that have died. Whether
Hmm.
we're not going to go into that.
Yeah.
That's weeds that I'm not even going to try to go into right now because I'm still observing myself. I don't know,
Hmm.
but I think it's important that we stay. Our ability to adapt and adjust
Yeah.
through these next few months is very important.
Yes.
Be able to pivot, just because
Hmm.
when we have a shift, we have to shift too, right?
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do a complete 180, but I think it is kind of letting people know, hey, like you were saying earlier, it's important to be self-sufficient spiritually.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is, and within yourself, trust yourself. And we
Hmm.
all question ourselves, especially as healers, psychics. I question myself every day. I'm not every day. There's times when I feel really confident with it, and energy's flowing, but I'm human. I get attacked with
Right.
the same type of negative or fear type based energy that you do, right?
Right.
Probably
Hmm.
more because I'm out there looking on it a lot. I'm working on
Hmm.
it. So I think it's important that we just, if you do have something that you wanted to do for a long time, now's the time to start planning for it that you've
Hmm.
kind of been sitting on, right? If you do want a home based business, if you do want to become a Reiki healer, that is very easy to do, right?
Yes.
It's not hard to do. It's just the practice that takes, the experience that takes the time. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think it's a good time to start looking at where you want your life to be without depending on, unfortunately, that employer that you were looking to
Right.
before.
Hmm.
Um, and looking to yourself more for creating that. We have all the technology in the world to start doing that. And
Yeah.
most of us have some expertise and some, skills in one form or another that we can utilize and either show other people or help other people with those
Right.
skills.
And a lot of people right now, I think, too, they're so confused. I know that you want to close out here,
No, no.
but this just came to me. I think one thing that's really shaking people up is that the absolute confusion. They don't know what's real, what isn't, what's up, what's down, what's fact, what's not. Like, they
Yeah,
don't even trust their own bodies. I mean, they don't trust their own mind. They don't trust the people that they thought they were supposed to be able to trust. And I think that raising our individual vibrations by doing things that are going to do that, by meditating, getting outside, research ways to raise your vibration, and then help others do that, I think would be really helpful. um, Relieves some of the confusion and the fear of the unknown. Is It's not necessary because the unknown is where creation takes place. It's absolutely limitless space. You can actually make it into whatever you want it to be. So being afraid of the unknown, um, that's another thing that people need to realize, is that the unknown is where all possibilities exist, and it's about what we're willing to observe in that space. So I say the word a lot, I think.
we're gonna have. I do too, and I've been doing this for a few years. So we're gonna have to do one on manifestation because I think that's where we're starting to go is on
Yeah.
manifesting and
Yes.
creating. So I would love to have you back here in a few more weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and do it like a show on manifestation. And
Okay.
can you tell everybody where they can find you if they'd like to talk to you or maybe get a reading or a healing?
Yeah. I have a Facebook business page, White Feather Spiritual Healing, or just Deanna Trujillo on Facebook. Either one. You could find me on there. Message me anytime. I'm also a spiritual life coach, um, energy healer. I do intuitive readings. I make healing jewelry. I program certain crystals and stones. I'm a channeler, a medium. I also clear houses. Pretty much anything that has to do with the paranormal, metaphysical,
You're shaman.
or yeah, I am able to do. So yeah, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I want you back as soon as I can, in a couple
Awesome.
weeks when it's convenient again for you.
Sounds good.
I'm honored to have you on here, especially for this first show. I think this went off perfect. I hope everybody enjoyed it and everybody enjoys it. I'm going to be watching it in the future. I'll see
Yeah.
you soon. Much love to all of you. Stay safe, but don't live in fear. It's time to start living and
Yes.
creating that life you want.
Yes. This is an epic time to do that. The slate is clean.
That's right. All right. You have a good one. You guys have a good weekend. Deanna, have a
Thank
great
you.
week. We'll
You
talk
too.
to you soon.
Okay.